Welcome, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Please take your seat.
Thank you.
Relax. Fahad, we are 4 people. हम jointly आपका इंटरव्यू करेंगे.
Right, sir.
Relax करें. And if you are comfortable, then you can introduce yourself.
Sir, my name is Fahad. I have done my bachelor's in civil engineering from Military College of Engineering, Nest, and I belong to a town outside Sialkot. I started preparing for CSS after my bachelor's degree, and I haven't really have any proper field experience or anything. In my family, I have 2 siblings, one elder brother who is a medical officer in Jinnah Hospital, Lahore, and a younger sister who is still studying pharmacy. My father is a farmer.
Anything else?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. Thank you. So you are coming from Sialkot.
Right, sir.
Why Sialkot is famous? Sialkot is
Primarily famous for its business community. It is a leading exporter in sports goods and surgical instruments. Sialkot recently exported its football to FIFA World Cup 2014 and 2018. Apart from football, it also manufactures other sports equipment. As far as surgical instruments, Sialkot surgical instruments have a huge market in the European Union. And Sialkot also manufactures leather and other leather products.
Anything else?
There are 2 famous poets that belong to Sialkot. One is Allama Muhammad Iqbal and the other one is Faiz Ahmad Faiz.
Good. There is a dry port in.
Yes, sir.
How is that experience? What do you know about that?
Dry port is situated a little outside main Sialkot city. It was.
But it is part of the district, yaar.
Right, sir.
So I'm talking about the district.
It was inaugurated in 1980s. 1980s, around about 1983 or 84, with the collaboration of Pakistan government as well as the business community of Sialkot. It has helped the city streamline its exports rather than and have enabled the city to create a central point from where all of the exports can be sent to the other parts of the city, parts of the country such as Karachi Seaport or Lahore Dry Ports.
What is your age?
My age is 23 right now. I will turn 24 in this April.
Okay, you are subject to geography also.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you tell us the geographical location of Pakistan on the map?
Pakistan is located just above the Tropic of Cancer. It begins from around about 30-degree latitude and stretches up till somewhere between 60 to 70 degrees. As far as the longitude, it is located around about 30 to 40 degrees. Pakistan has Arabian Sea on its southern border, and Iran is situated in Pakistan's southwestern border. As far as Afghanistan, it is situated in the northwestern border of the Pakistan and stretches over 2,000 kilometers. For China, it is situated among the hilly areas on the northern portion of Pakistan, and China has the shortest border with Pakistan. The other country that shares this common boundary with Pakistan is India, and it shares the longest border with Pakistan, stretching somewhere between 2,500 to 3,000 kilometers.
There is a conflict between India and China in the Himalayan region. So can you tell us what is this Himalayan region and what is the conflict?
So Himalayan region, it basically stretches out between the regions of, it starts from Nepal in the east and stretches up till Pakistan and its Kashmir Valley. The main issue between China and India is over the Aksai Chin region and some parts of Ladakh and Kashmir Valley. China states its claim over those regions, but India says that it were historically its own. It historically belongs to India. In the 1962 battle, China took over the Aksai Chin region from the Indian government, and after the war, it was rather a peace. We can say that comparatively peaceful beginnings after that, but in the last year we have again witnessed some skirmishes between the Indian army and Chinese army over some border conflicts.
There is a term there in the literature when we review this conflict, chicken neck. They say the Chinese have got control of almost, they are sitting on the chicken neck. And then they also use the term of five fingers.
No, I haven't really studied this issue in depth.
You have not looked into it.
Right.
Now, there is a change of administration by 20th in the US. President will be changed. The Trump administration has certain issues on the tariff issues with Chinese. Do you think this will continue or there will be change of policy?
These issues will mainly continue because the trade deficit between China and US is a lot high. It is somewhere US exports to China somewhere in the region of 110 to 120 billion dollars, while China exports somewhere around 450 billion dollars. So there's a high trade deficit, and US believes that China is the next economic power. So it will try to suppress the Chinese economic rise as much as it can. So I do not think that there will be any further change in the policy. They may overtly become a little bit more peaceful because Trump was just following his unilateral moves and was not really caring about the overall American persona in the international world. As far as Joe Biden, he carries the liberal policies of his Democratic Party, so he might not be overtly so aggressive, but the policies would not very much change.
How do you see this Brexit which has happened, and the UK is now, Britain is independent of European, rather I will say.
Yes, sir.
Do you think this is something good has happened for Britain or for European Union?
It has both its pros and cons, because Brexit, basically the British people are thinking that they are paying excessive to the European Union, and in return they were getting a high inflow of immigrants into their country. Because they, under the European Union deal, each country has to contribute something to the European Parliament to keep it running. And recently we witnessed that Germany also showed some hesitation while bailing out Greece after its economic crisis. So after that, some of the conservative British politicians raised this agenda among the people to initiate the Brexit. But Brexit already had its own issues, and it could have resulted in a decline in the British economy. But after the recent COVID pandemic, it just exacerbated this whole issue and has hampered the British economy to a great extent. Now it only depends upon the policies of the British and how this final Brexit deal pans out, because if the Britishers are not allowed to move freely or have to face some trade barriers from the European Union, then it will be difficult for the British businesses who are settled overseas. Because this issue of the Brexit, it will go both ways. The European Union was contemplating that due to the Brexit, many of the citizens of other European countries who have settled in Britain, they might face issue, but the similar kind of issues would also be faced by the Britain, because many of its citizens have settled overseas in other countries like Germany, which is one of the faster growing economies, and so I believe that Brexit will have both its pros and cons on the British economy, and only time can decide where it goes from here.
Please.
How will you explain your strength, leadership? You have mentioned leadership.
Yes, sir.
Leader or leadership?
Leadership, sir.
So how will you explain it?
Sir, I just have a feeling that I have a better acumen in controlling a project or any authority that is given to me, because recently I have such instances where I was given certain responsibilities to handle a group of people, and I had a better performance in them. In my final year project, I was the leader of my group, and I had to control the activities of my group while streamlining all of the participants. Other than that, I was also selected as a hostel prefect in my final year, and I had more than 150 students under me, and I believe that I performed all right.
Can you give us the geographical description of our land, Pakistan land?
Sir, if we start from the north, the Himalayas and Karakoram range extend from the Kashmir Valley into the Gilgit-Baltistan region, and there are also Hindu Kush mountains. The Himalayas and Karakoram have rather high peaks, and Pakistan boasts 4 of the 8,000 in this world, the peaks that are above 8,000 meters. As we move toward the west, on the Afghan border, there are also some mountains, but they are not as high as the Himalayas or Karakoram. And then in the Balochistan is known as a plateau because...
You move on, we have mountains, we have plateau.
Yes, sir.
And then?
Balochistan. Yeah, the other mountain ranges that we have are on the western end of the Balochistan, the Chagi mountains, and after that we have Makran coastal range in the south.
We have mountains, just say we have mountains.
Just mountains.
We have mountains.
Yes. We have mountains and then we have plateau.
We have plateau.
Valleys in the...
We have valleys, we have desert.
Yes, sir. And deserts in the Sindh
we have rivers.
Region. Yes, sir.
You are explaining...
I perceive that you were asking a whole landscape layout.
What do you know about the working of a district?
Working of district,
Administrative district of our country.
So administrative district, there is a district officer on the top of administrative, and then there are tehsils under it. The district officer controls all of the tehsils that come in its jurisdiction. After that tehsil, there are union councils under it. Union council heads are recently, as per the law, last time there were some elections and union council heads were elected. And a union council then contains a few villages in that region who's running the control.
Can you give us the organization hierarchy of police organization under the Police Order 2002?
I do not really have the complete knowledge about that.
Okay. Bureaucrats accuse politicians for their political interference in their working.
Yes, sir.
Likewise, politicians, they also have a lot of complaints against the bureaucrats that they don't cooperate in the accomplish of their work. What is your take on it?
So bureaucrats are here to run the country and its basic administrative machinery, because the politicians has come into the power for 5 years. And we have not ever seen a party that has repeated its success in election in Pakistan. So bureaucracy has a complaint that politicians just come out of nowhere and do not really have any administrative acumen, and they try to impose themselves. But we have to understand that politicians are elected representatives of our people. So bureaucracy should try to take them under the, should try to convince them and should explain them about the working of the government rather than just complaining that bureaucracy is not listening to them. There should be harmony between both the departments, and therefore, as for the reservations about the politicians, that politicians are, bureaucracy is not listening to the politicians. Their politicians should also try to just have talks with the bureaucracy and should listen to their issues. Because any issues that bureaucracy might have about the politicians, those can be solved with simple talks, and I do not believe that these issues are so much elaborate to that.
Okay. Why, despite you see the ongoing intra-Afghan dialogue, there is fighting going on, there is violence, terrorist acts are being carried out?
Sir, Afghanistan, there are many stakeholders that are currently working in Afghanistan. Firstly, there are the local Afghans. Those are divided into different, there is the Taliban, and then there is the Northern Alliance and the current Afghan government. There are afterwards in the external stakeholder, there are United States and Pakistan and other border regions, and we have also heard about Indian interference in the region. So until and unless all of these parties are satisfied about the dialogue, these skirmishes will continue. So Pakistan and the major stakeholders that are Pakistan, US and the Afghan people, they should rather try to work things out among themselves, and after that I believe that the security concerns can be addressed.
What was the policy of strategic depth, and what did we gain from it?
So strategic depth, it was that Pakistan was surrounded at the time of independence. Pakistan already had a threat from the eastern border over the issue with India. And Pakistan feared that if its issues with Afghanistan persist, because Afghanistan laid claim over the NWFP region and claimed it to be a part of Pakhtunistan. So Pakistan army needed to have some strategic flow in the Afghan region and needed to have a government that was friendly with Pakistan. And so the strategic depth is this term that it enables Pakistan to have some sway in the Afghan region, so that if God forbid we suffer an attack on the eastern front, we have the surety that we can retreat and move towards the western side, and we do not really have some serious threats from that end.
But what did we gain from it? From the policy of strategic depth?
I do not think that we really gained a lot as much as we lost over it. Because although we had initially we had some advantage that we had allies in Afghanistan. But over time, these allies really just hurt the Pakistan economy and Pakistan security a lot harder. Because once the Afghan war was over and the Soviets retreated, Pakistan did not have enough budget, as the American aids were stopped, and Pakistan army could not really sustain these people that it had created there, and this resulted in serious damage to Pakistan's economy.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Fahad, do you play football?
Sir, I haven't played it for over a year. I used to play it during my college days. Currently, I just watch.
Cristiano Ronaldo is your favorite player. How many international goals he has scored?
Sir, currently standing at 102 goals.
And how many Golden Boot award he has won?
I believe 2 or 3. I'm not sure about that.
You're definitely not sure. Okay, which last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched, Great Gatsby.
Sorry?
Great Gatsby. I read that book and I just used the movie to revise it.
Any other movie?
Any other movie, I'd say Avengers series. I watched that all during this summer.
Alright. Geography was your optional subject.
Yes, sir.
What is human geography?
So human geography consists of the human, like where the populations are scattered and what kind of people live in different parts of the world, what are their languages, their culture and their ethnicity.
And how does geography affect humans?
I did not really carry a question.
People of desert and people of mountains, do they have similar temperament, culture, traditions?
No, so geography has a huge impact on our psychology and our physicality. In fact, the people in desert, they will be able to survive in lack of water, and they have sustained some hard environments, and they can sustain, if we are talking about warm deserts, they can sustain high heat. As for the people in mountains, they have lived their life at a higher altitude, and therefore at high altitude there we know that there is also lesser oxygen, so they have more tenacity. And the people who live on the plain areas such as us, we haven't really experienced those harsh environments, so even if we move towards the deserts or towards the mountain, we'll have some time adjustment.
People of hilly area, they're very, they have very reddish complexion, their cheeks are very red. Why?
That's what, because of lesser oxygen in the high altitude, our body just changes itself, and our red blood cells increase in number, and red blood cells contain a pigment known as hemoglobin. It gives the cheeks red color.
We have read geology as well.
Right, sir.
What is the difference between lava and magma?
So lava is the molten rocks that come out of the surface. After it reaches the surface, it is known as lava, and inside the surface it is known as magma.
Magma. What is the average temperature of core of Earth?
It's somewhere around 6300 degrees Celsius.
63.
No, I don't think.
From crust till the center, how many layers are there?
So there are mainly 3 layers: crust, mantle and core. And then mantle is divided into lithosphere and asthenosphere. Lithosphere is just some little portion of mantle that is closer to Earth, and asthenosphere is the other major portion of mantle. And core is also divided into 2 regions, outer core and inner core. Outer core is liquid and inner core is solid.
What are 3 types of rocks?
So basic 3 types of rocks are igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic.
What is soil erosion?
Yes, sir?
Soil erosion.
Soil erosion. Sir, soil erosion is a process under which the soil particles that have weathered away from the main rock are carried by the different means. These can be glaciers or wind or water or any other means by which they can move from. Erosion is basically the movement of particles from one place to another.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Fahad, who was the first president of Congress?
First president of Congress, sir, I do not remember.
Why did Congress support the Khilafat movement?
So Congress supported Khilafat movement because at that moment they had a belief that if they work alongside Muslims, they will be able to get a united India. And Muslims make a huge chunk of Indian people. So Congress had a belief that if they support this call for Khilafat movement with the Muslims, they may get some support from the Muslims and will be able to progress united.
What were the three main features of Government of India Act 1919?
I do not remember.
What was the impact of Lucknow Pact on the creation of Pakistan?
So Lucknow Pact was the first real pact between Congress and Muslim League, and it helped create some harmony between both the parties. Muslims accepted the Congress, and Congress accepted Muslims' call for separate electorate. But afterwards, when this Lucknow Congress moved away from their agreed upon points under the Lucknow Pact, Muslims then sensed that they cannot really trust the Hindus, and therefore they will have to make a call for their own self. And this afterwards resulted in Allahabad Address by Allama Iqbal, Qaeda 14 point, and then if we fast forward in history, it resulted in the creation of Pakistan.
What is the process of impeachment?
Process of impeachment?
For president in Pakistan?
In Pakistan, I do not really think because, but I believe it would be similar to the United States where both if it exists.
Is there any process of impeachment in the Constitution 1973?
I'm not sure about that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's finish this formal interview. ठीक है? अब इनफॉर्मल बात करते हैं. You have got very good communication skill. थोड़ा सा है उस पे लैंग्वेज पे आते हैं. Personality is very fine. You accept challenges. You are hard working. Photogenic तुम्हारी memory मुझे लगती है. You are original है thinking तुम्हारी. You are analytical. You are also critical. तुमने ये जो statistic, geology और geography का जो combination लिया है, this is a very lethal combination. हैं? और ये must be यार, इसने तो रिटर्न में तो कोड़ा दिया होगा. तो you are in a state of preparedness. Fahad, मेरे ख्याल में this is a God given opportunity and you have made it. और keep it up, mirror practice करो. तुम्हारा थोड़ा सा जो अंदाज है ना बोलने का, वो ऐसे लगता है जैसे पहला impression आता है जैसे क्या यू परवाही को नहीं जो बोल रहे हो. थोड़ा सा अपने आप को मिरर प्रैक्टिस करके देखो. तो यू शुड गिव, वो जो है ना एनर्जी के साथ बोलो. यस, वो जो है ना जब तुमने शुरू किया ना तो वो तुम्हारा एनर्जी लेवल डाउन था. तो यू मस्ट कम आउट विद योर फुल एनर्जी. व्हेन यू स्पीक विद अथॉरिटी, यू स्पीक विद एनर्जी. ठीक है ना? तो तुमने काफ़ी अच्छा किया है तुम्हारा. आई लाइक इट पर्सनली. मैंने इसको बड़ा, आई हैव स्टार्टेड एंजॉयिंग योर इंटरव्यू इन फैक्ट. ठीक है ना? ये कुछ सवाल ड्रॉप हो जाते कोई नहीं, बट योर फोकस शुड बी दैट यू शुड बी वेरी ओरिजिनल इन योर थिंकिंग, इन योर प्रेजेंटेशन, एनालिटिकल एज वेल एज क्रिटिकल. अब तुमने जो अफगान प्रोसेस का जो फॉल आउट दिया ना, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम ये लोग नहीं बताते हैं, बट यू हैव बीन ट्रूली, ही इज वेरी ट्रू.
बड़े अच्छे सवालों के जवाब दिए.
हाँ, तो दिस इज गुड. लेकिन ये है कि यू कब है इंटरव्यू?
सर अब लाहौर में मेरा लाहौर फेज वन, अभी आई नहीं डेट.
अच्छा, वेरी गुड. फिर तो अच्छी बात है कि तुम्हें तो टाइम मिल गया है. अब यू एक तो ये तुमको, हाँ, एक जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है वो ये है कि तुम्हारा इंट्रोडक्शन बड़ा शॉर्ट तुमने दिया है. नाउ इंट्रोडक्शन इज ए पिच. एक्चुअली इंट्रोडक्शन तो तुमने खुद ही अपनी पिच पे लेके आना है. तो इंट्रोडक्शन अपना प्रिपेयर करो. अब यू हैव गॉट गुड थिंग्स इंट्रोडक्शन में तुमने जो बाद में बताना शुरू की कि तुमने स्कूल में भी, कॉलेज में भी, यूनिवर्सिटी में भी यू हैव बीन पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन, जो काम भी किया है, ये तो बता रहे हो, तो ये कोई चीज़ें पॉजिटिव, एक लिखो पहले अपना इंट्रोडक्शन लिखो 1-1.5 पेज का। यहीं रहते हो या वहाँ रहते हो?
सियालकोट। सियालकोट।
इनसे वेट कराओ,
ठीक है।
ठीक है ना। तो उसको जहन में रखो कि यू हैव टू टेल देम, टेल द बोर्ड कि मैं कौन हूँ, व्हाट आर माई, एक एक्म्प्लिशमेंट होती है लाइफ की, कोई छोटी मोटी, कॉलेज में, यूनिवर्सिटी में, कोई सोसाइटी में, कोई घर में, समथिंग लाइक दैट, तो उनको हाईलाइट करते हैं, ठीक है ना। दैट क्रिएट्स गुड इम्प्रेशन। तो मुझे खुशी हुई तुम्हें मिल के, लेकिन है कि यू हैव टू मेनटेन इट। अब मेनटेन कैसे करना है? तुम्हारे पास रिकॉर्ड है पिछला कोई 2 महीने का, 3 महीने का अखबारों का?
सर ऑनलाइन ही पढ़ रहा हूँ अखबार दूसरी।
तो ऑनलाइन ही पढ़ो, मेन सुर्खियाँ जो है ना, मेन इवेंट्स जैसे हैं उनको देख के पॉइंट्स बना लो, 1 2 3,
ठीक
है। डायरी मेंटेन करो, उसमें 1 2 3 4 पॉइंट्स। तो इसी तरह जो भी करें, ये कम से कम 100 तुम्हारे पास टॉपिक तैयार होना चाहिए,
ठीक
ठीक है ना। सोशल इश्यूज पाकिस्तान के, जेंडर इश्यूज हैं, इकोनॉमिक है, पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज हैं, इसी तरह दुनिया के जो मेजर इवेंट चल रहे हैं। तो अपनी मतलब यू आर गुड बट यू शुड डू मोर, ठीक है।
थोड़ा सा स्पीक सॉफ्टली, ठीक है। वोकल कॉर्ड तो आपका हैवी है, बट एनर्जी वाइज आप इसको मैनेज थोड़ा करो। दूसरा, जूते काले पहन के जाना, ठीक है। बाकी मेरी तरफ से एक्सेलेंट, एक्सेलेंट,
वेरी गुड यार। थोड़ा सा पाकिस्तान अफेयर है, इंडो पाक को देख लो, बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम है, बहुत ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन
सर वो भी किया नहीं था।
बस राब्ते में रहो सर बिलाल साहब से,
ठीक है।
ठीक है। वैसे थोड़ी सी प्रैक्टिस करो, ऊंचा भी थोड़ा सा बोलता है ना सर।
हाँ, एनर्जी लेवल का मतलब ये होता है, जिस तरह मैं अब बोल रहा हूँ ना, साउंड लाउड बोल रहा हूँ ना, तो इसी तरह मतलब थोड़ा सा लाउड थोड़ा सा करो, और ठीक हो यार। लेकिन अब मेंटेन करना है, मतलब जो चीज़ है मेंटेन करो, तुम्हारे रिटर्न में मुझे लगता है बहुत अच्छे नंबर होंगे, ठीक है ना।